today I'm here to talk to you about all the series that I'm currently in the middle of. But firstly, if you can hear rain, I do apologise, but it's raining really heavily outside and I've got different sort of lighting going on here, so if the lighting is a bit off I also apologise, but we're working with what we've got here. So I believe I'm in the middle of 9 series. I know it's not as excessive as could be, I suppose, but I don't like having too many series on the go. Firstly, I just get lost in them and sometimes I forget that I'm in the middle of them, or sometimes I would leave way too much time in between to the point that I don't remember what happened in the book previously, so I just prefer to stick to not as many. Even 9 for me is quite a lot. So today I thought I'd talk you through those. So I've got 2 series that I read on my Kindle and 7, I believe, that are physical books. So let's get started. I'll start with the 2 Kindle ones, otherwise I feel like I'm going to forget about them. So the first one I only started this month, but that is Fade Island Mysteries series by Claire Robbins. So you don't see like the covers of them, but this is basically the cover of the first book. And I do apologise for reflections as well, but this one is, I would describe it as paranormal murder mystery romance book series. So it is set on this island, which is I think made up island, and we've got the main character who is a witch. She goes there because she's been contacted by somebody to say that she's inherited a newspaper on this island from one of her relatives who died. And there is a murder as well. I don't want to say too much, they're quite short books, they're only 200 pages each, and I got it on Amazon for £1 for 5-book series. I think there will be potentially more, I'm not 100% sure, but it's good fun. So I've read the first one this month and I started the second one as well afterwards. They're really good fun, they're not like super serious or nothing really new. It's just I quite like this island that these books are set on, and I like the main character. It's very humorous, very light-hearted, predictable, but you don't read those for like the mystery and thriller and whatnot, so you're just reading them because they're good fun and quite easy to get through. My other series is actually a crime book series, police procedurals set in Avon and Somerset, and I currently have 14 books in the series and I've read 3 of them, so I don't know how well you can see, but that's the books. So I have read As the Crow Flies, Head in the Sand and Kickback. My next one would be Swan Song, and again they're also quite short. Again, they're about 250 pages maybe. They're also quite good fun. I rate them about 3 to 4 stars, so nothing super special to me, but they're good fun, they're quick. And if I fancy some police procedural that is short, this is one of them. And obviously it follows a DI, Nick Dixon, who deals with crimes. I don't like him as a character at all, but what I do like about these books is how they're focused just on the crime. There's nothing else much going on. Maybe every now and then there'll be details about the characters that are in the book or from his team or based on DI life himself. But yeah, they're good fun and quite short. Sometimes they're a little bit more dramatic. Some stuff like this wouldn't quite happen in real life, especially considering I think they're based in the UK. I think. Yes, they are, because Avon and Somerset. Duh. So yeah, but they're good fun. Well, speaking of crime novels, I've got 3 more crime series that I'm in the middle of. Well, one of them is not in the middle of, but so I've read The Burning by Jane Casey, and it's quite a long series. I think there's 15 books in the series potentially, and they're quite thick as well. And we follow this DI who is, what's her name? Mauve, I think. Mauve Kerrigan. She's a DC. In the first book there's been this serial killer who targets women and he's killed about 4 of them. And so I've only read the first book in a series and I have the next one to read, The Reckoning. I really actually enjoyed the first book, because it's so thick, it's so full of detail, but it's not boring detail. For some reason I was just savouring and enjoying every page of it. I think the pacing was actually, yes, it might have been a little bit slow, but if you like police procedurals that feel much more realistic, much more natural, and how real cases would probably go on anyway, rather than dramatic sort of involvement, very quickly everything's happening. This is, I feel like, so much more real, closer to real life than other books that I have read. This has been recommended to me for as fans of Kara Hunter's books, which I've really absolutely loved. So I have really enjoyed this one, and I'm looking forward to reading The Reckoning at some point too. Another crime series, I have been reading this for a very long time now. I think I started maybe 2020 or 2021, but it is Dr. Ruth Galloway series. If you have been on my channel for a while, you would probably have seen one or two at some point. But the first book was The Crossing Places, and I have read the first 6 books. So my next one would be The Ghost Fields. And I had a really long break in between, but as in after the first 5, I had a very long break before I started the 6th one. But after I read the 6th one, I thought, why have I taken so long to go back to them? Because I really enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. But I feel like I've mentioned this plot so many times, but I'll mention it again. In this series we follow Dr. Ruth Galloway, who is a forensic archaeologist at a university, and we also follow a DCI, Nelson, who is, well, a DCI, and their paths cross. So these books are basically based on the crimes that have some sort of connection with the past. So obviously they would discover bones. There'd be either some myth that these bones would be dealt with before, some story from the past, and now somehow it would be connected to the current crimes going on. Sometimes it's connected, sometimes it's not connected, but it's really interesting. Most of the time I'm giving them 3 or 4 stars. Not a single one have been 5-star, but they're really good fun, and I do enjoy reading from these 2 characters because we switch perspectives as well. I don't enjoy the actual characters, I don't like them, but it's interesting to see how their lives evolve and what they do, and how it's a little bit like a thriller as well. Not like very thrillery, I would say, but it's like a thriller and a little bit of police procedural as well, with a little bit of archaeology in there as well, which I also find really quite interesting because I haven't read anything like this before. So that adds a little bit of a different element to your normal crime fiction or thrillers, I think. So there we go. The last crime book series I've got is The Yard, or the Murder Squad series, I think it's called, by Alex Gratian. So like I said, the first one is The Yard, and I have read 4 in the series, and now I've got the last one left, Lost and Gone Forever. I feel like the first 2 were really good. I really enjoyed The Yard, that was the best one, and I believe I enjoyed The Black Country as well. But then The Devil's Workshop was a little bit of a disappointment. Harvest Man was probably, I think, better than this, but still not as good as the first 2. But I'm hoping that I will enjoy this one as well, even though it's going to be slightly different from the first 4. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. But when I finish this one, I'll be done with the series. But I need to tell you the plot is, even though again it feels like I've mentioned it so many times. But in The Yard we follow these detectives who are in the murder squad that was newly formed back in 1800s, because this is a historical series, by the way, and they just solve different crimes. So that's all I'm going to say. But the 3rd book featured Jack the Ripper, which I thought would be really good, really interesting, but it was my least favourite in the series, funnily enough. So I love how, I wouldn't say you can feel the atmosphere in the books. It doesn't feel like they are set back in the past, but I really like a couple of characters, and I do like the historical setting, and I do like how they go about solving crimes, because obviously it's back in the past, they don't have CCTV. Fingerprints are sort of just starting, but it's not really considered very reliable method. So it's really quite interesting to see back in the past how they used to deal with crimes and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm also in the middle of a series that I thought was one of my favorites, but now I can't say that. It's Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. So I really loved this book, the first book in the series, Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I also really enjoyed Tales from the Cafe. Before Your Memory Fades was a disappointment. I think I gave it either 2 or 3 stars, I can't remember. But it just didn't hit me as much as the first 2. And I've got the 4th book on my TBR to be read. Again, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what these books are about, but I'll say it again. So these books are set in a cafe in Japan where you can go back in the past. There are several different rules. First, you've got to go back before the coffee gets cold, and there are some other things like you can't change the past, and you can only see the person who has visited the cafe at the time. So the first 2 were really, really good, quite emotional. I cried in the first one. I really like the stories of the characters who were in the first 2 and why they go back to the past. It was all really like emotional and thoughtful. Third one, it just literally felt like a repetition of the first 2, and I feel like these 2 would have worked better as just the 2, or even 1, to be honest. It would have just been absolutely fine as a standalone, because I feel like the remaining series is just becoming really, really repetitive, and I've read reviews that people say exactly the same thing. They're just really repetitive. I didn't even cry in the 3rd one because it didn't touch me at all. I might be done with the series after I read the 4th one, because if it's anything like this 3rd book, which I have read, it is, I don't know if I can pull myself through another one. So we'll see. This will be the decisive point whether I'm done with the series or not. I like the atmosphere of these books though, and I used to think I liked the characters as well, but that's now changed a little bit, so we'll see. Another series I'm in the middle of, not exactly in the middle of, which I didn't even know was a series, but is, sorry, there's my cat next to me. So I think it's a Chocolat series by Joanne Harris. So I've read the first one, which was a reread, by the way, just recently reread this one. But for me to continue with the series, then I've got to read the Lollipop Shoes, and I think there are 4 or 5 books in the series, I can't remember exactly. This one is much thicker though, but so I think it's magical realism genre. I could be wrong though, because I don't really know what counts as magical realism. But in the first one we follow Vivian, who goes to this French village, and she opens a chocolate boutique. And because it's a very religious village, there is the vicar who is basically against her, and everyone is sort of not really friendly with her because obviously she goes against religion and whatnot. But these books are so atmospheric, and whenever I read descriptions about chocolate or coffee or hot chocolate that she makes, that makes me so hungry. These are very atmospheric. This time around I didn't quite like it as much as I liked it the first time around. There's just something about it that I didn't quite love this time. So the first time I gave it 4 stars, this time I gave it 3 stars, but I'm hoping that the next book in the series will be better for me than the first one was. Although it's really big, it's like 560 pages, so that's massive. But when I fancy something sort of slow going, something atmospheric, something cute in a way as well, this will be the one I go to. My next series is a rather popular one, and I'm pretty sure everyone heard about it, but that is the Nevermore series. I've read Nevermore and I read Wondersmith as well, and I do have also Hollowpox. So I don't know if the 4th book is even out yet, because I know they're being released rather slowly, and the 3rd one is quite thick. But this is a middle grade series. We follow Morrigan Crow in the first one, who is on the eve of her 11th birthday, supposed to die, but instead she's whisked away by Jupiter North, and she's brought to this wondrous society to compete to stay there, basically. It's really magical, also really atmospheric. Original, I would say, because the magic that's used here and different sort of imaginative, it's a very imaginative magic is what I would say, and very imaginative setting, and really quite like bizarre as well, but I really enjoyed it. This was also a reread at some point for me. The first time around I listened to the audiobook and gave it 3 stars. Second time I read it, I actually gave it 4 stars. And I'm pretty sure I gave 4 stars to this one as well. Maybe 3? I can't remember. I think it was 4 still. So they're really good fun, and really quite interesting to read. So at some point I will read this one. Although I wish there were more books published now, because I'm pretty sure by the time the 4th one comes out, by the time I get to read it, I'm probably gonna forget what's happened in the first 3. That could be a problem, but oh well. And the last series is the Magisterium series. I've read The Iron Trial and The Copper Gauntlet. They are, I think, YA, maybe a middle grade, I'm not 100% sure, but my next one would be The Bronze Key. And I've got the 4th one in the series as well. So I think there might be more in the series, but I think the main 4 are just the main 4. I got them from the works at some point. They're good fun. They are basically set in a magic school. We follow these 3 main characters who are going through different trials, obviously, going through their school year and other things like that. So it's quite fun. Again, the first one was actually a reread for me, and I enjoyed it more than I did the first time round, funnily enough again. I don't really have much to say about them. They're just good fun, quite quick reads as well, and I like the magic system that's involved in here. I like the friendships between the main characters, so it's just good fun. They're not like anything special. I think I give them 4 to 3 stars, so nothing special, but I just thought I'd give them a go because sometimes I'm in the mood to read something like this. So yeah, I feel like I couldn't quite catch my breath in this video, so if it comes across that, I apologise. I don't know why. But anyway, these are all of the series that I'm currently in the middle of. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!